So, good evening. So today is our regular practice day. Because of the snow, I wasn't expecting anyone to turn up. But good that you come to practice. It's important to have this intention. When we have a right intention, then we can put all the difficulties away. But when we don't have a right intention, then that causes more troubles and unable to work with it. So intention is one of the key factors that push us to do things. Even when we speak, we have to have an intention why we are speaking. If we have a good intention, then the speech that we say will be wholesome, and that brings the wholesome results. And if we are speaking with a wrong intention, then that basically brings the unwholesome results. Same with our life, that if we want to be success in any path or any aims, then we have to have this right intention, so that it leads to putting a lot of effort to work on, and that leads to the success in life. So this right intention is the second teachings in the Eightfold Noble Path. That's called the Samma Sankappa. Samma Sankappa is basically a wisdom that we have to generate in us, and having that fully generated, then that leads to the success or not success. And that again we can link to the Buddha, one of the suttas, Dveda Vitakka Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. Buddha mentioned that there are two thoughts occurred to him before he was enlightened. One thought was the unwholesome thought. That unwholesome thought is basically a cruelty, thought of a cruelty, a thought of ill will, and also thought of so-called grasping. Right? Whereas the another wholesome thought came into him, that was avihingsa, so non-cruelty. And then the second one was the abhyapada, so non-ill will or non-angry. And then the last one was the nekam, so letting go, renunciation. So in between these two thoughts, he was measuring that which one he should go with. And then he investigated that if we went with this unwholesome thought, with the cruelty, ill will, and grasp or attachment, then that brings more suffering. More suffering. Whereas such as a cruelty is basically you have generated anger, hate within yourself. And with that, what happens is that before you are hurting anybody else, basically you are hurting yourself. So we hurt ourselves first before we are hurting somebody else. And then we have intention to hurt that person, but if that person doesn't accept or doesn't listen what you are saying or ignored, then that person is not hurt. That person will not receive anything, whereas we will get more hurt. We become more angry that I have done so many things to let him anger, let him suffer. Why is that happening? So that person will be thinking of many other ways to hurt. So with that, you are hurting more. So it's like you are living in hell by yourself, that you have created for yourself. Whereas if you have freed from that one, but you have this avihingsa, which is ahimsa, right? Non-cruelty. Another form is the peace. And from the beginning of generating of that, you are gaining peace within yourself. And with that peace, you are also sharing to other people. People can feel that how calm you become, how calm you are. People feel connected, people feel more relaxed in front of you. And that's simply because that generated from inside yourself. You can test yourself in your home or in your work. When you're angry, when you are angry, the way you speak, the volume is so heavy. Even when you are walking, steps become so loud. Deliberately you are stepping with bang, 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 because you want somebody to hear that you are angry now. So you can test yourself. Whereas if you are mindful and then you have this concern of others' well-being and others' happiness, then what you will do? You will be speaking kindly. You will be speaking, or you will be doing with a kindness, and carefully you're walking. You try not to make a sound, thinking that your walk may disturb somebody else. It's like when we are meditating here, people working there or walking around outside the room, and they become more conscious that inside they are practicing. So even a speech become very like whispering speech, intention not to disturb. That sort of develops. So that's why it's and then after Buddha investigated, before he became the Buddha, investigated in these two types of a thought, and seeing that acting with this negative thought brings negative results, whereas the acting in a positive thought brings the positive results. So with that, he chose not to act with the negative thoughts. He simply learned about it, investigated, and let it go. Whereas the positive thoughts that was there, he investigated and cultivated more and more, and that's how that led him to pave the path to the liberation. So that comes the second Eightfold Noble Path, right intention. That's the Samma Sankappa. And this again, Samma Sankappa is very closely related to the right view. Right view that I mentioned last week, that we can't see things properly because of the distorted perception that we have, distorted the understanding that we have, and then distorted mind that we have in relation to that particular object. So in order to get rid of these distorted understanding, we have to see it clearly. And when we have the right understanding of the things properly and rightly, what happens that it leads to let us think rightly. Because all our thoughts are this is the manifestation of what we have understood, what we have known. So in the practice of a meditation, basically what we are doing, and it comes in Satipatthana, Chittanupassana. In the Chittanupassana comes that when you are having this kind of a thought, you're aware of this kind of a thought, and you investigate that this is I'm having thought. So this thought is a manifestation of our views. And this again, the view, how it comes is that like I sees an object, with that consciousness is there. With the consciousness arising, what happens that we bring our memories. We bring our memories, and then with that memories we investigate further on. With that investigation, what happens that if we have this negative tendencies, then that will brings the negative thoughts. If we have a positive thought, then that will brings the positive thought. So that's why in the practice of a meditation, what we are doing, that whenever these thoughts bubbles up, creates another, so this is again, it's called a papancha. If you have heard, papancha means the will of thought or mill of thought, and the series of actions happens, and that continues. And this also the cause of is basically not having a right intention, or not having a right understanding of the cause that creating the thoughts, and then not being mindful of that particular thought leads to the series of the thought, and that's how we lost into the thought processes. So we float into the thought, and then we forgot where we are doing and what we are doing and where we are going to. So practice of a mindfulness meditation is basically we stop that. The moment when things arises, catching it. And if you can't catch at the very moment when it comes to contact with one another, at least thought arises. At that time we can catch that. And then when we catch that, the reaction becomes just a kind of a passive reaction. So you know that this has happened. If we are not aware of that, what happens? We react. And further that reaction leads to the further action. Okay? So that's why this intention is quite important part. This comes with, the intention again, comes with your effort to do. Effort to speak. An effort to live your life properly. And with that effort, what happens that it leads to having this mindful and awareness. Right? So this tonight's practice, reflect on that, your thoughts, and reflecting on that what are the thoughts. Okay, so with this, let's practice. So sitting comfortably. I'll bring your attention to the moment here and now. And relax yourself, leaving all your responsibilities aside. Just be here and now. You may take a few long, deep breaths just to feel the present awareness here and now. And spend some times concentrating on a primary object to settle your mind down and relax. And it is time, at this time again, making a conscious decision that you are not moving any parts of the body. Try to sit in a upright position and stay focused on the primary object. So disconnecting from all other disturbances or all other activities that mind is thinking, but solely trying to be mindful of the primary object, the breath, the nose or the abdomen. And as you feel that your mind is settling down, beginning to focus on the primary object, try to be mindful of your intention. What is the intention behind this practice? And what sort of a thoughts arises? And what is the intention behind that thought? Is that thought related to any form of a negativity or any form of a positivity? Anything to deal with the cruelty or ill will or anger and hatred? Or the thought of a greed, a sensual pleasure? And checking what is the intention behind that thought. Now again, if you feel that's difficult and lost what to do at that time, simply bring your attention back to the primary object. And mindfully aware and mindfully conscious about it. More breath coming in, going out, rising, falling. So every time when mind drifts away to the thoughts or stories, just acknowledging them. So observing, acknowledging, noting And before letting it go, checking your intention behind that thought. What is the cause of that thought? And let go. If you have a thought of a dislike, displeasure, watching that, observing, acknowledging, noting, and try to find what is the intention behind that dislike thought. Displeasure thought. Is it because things are happening that you dislike as the cause for it? Or you have something else to do, or you want to do something else and you haven't done it? So mindfully aware of the thought that is going through in our head at the moment, and investigating that what will be the outcome of it. Does it bring frustration, upsets, or does it bring more kindness and compassion towards oneself and others?